Hello everybody. In this video we're going to talk about what happens when you're a green card holder but then you're stuck overseas, you can't come back because of COVID-19 or the travel restrictions. What do you do if it's been now more than a year and you're stuck overseas and you cannot come back to the United States? There could be significant implications on your green card. I've been getting a lot of questions for people that are green card holders stuck overseas not being able to come back. Well, in this video we'll talk about the most recent updates as to what you need to do as a green card holder if you're not able to come back, what happens if you try to come back and the airlines prevent you from boarding because their clearance agents determine that you've been away for more than a year, and what happens when you actually arrive to the United States and CBP officers decide to take away your green card and proceed with revocation of your LPR green card status, and the best practices for you to follow now to avoid losing your green card. So let's jump right in. Hello everybody, and welcome back to our immigration channel. This is a place where you can get the most up-to-date immigration news, immigration updates, and everything else that you need to make your immigration journey stress-free. My name is Jacob Sapochnick, and I'm an immigration attorney located in San Diego, California, and I help clients in all 50 states navigate the crazy immigration system. If you're here for the first time, don't forget to click the notification bell, subscribe to our channel, and also give us a big like so YouTube is going to be able to show this video to more people just like you. So guys, let's talk about green card holders stuck overseas. This has been a big problem right now, especially now that proclamations are lifted, travel is starting to be a bit more flexible, but people are still not able to travel as freely as they want to. And guess what? If you have a green card and you spend more than a year abroad, you could lose your green card. You can risk what is called abandonment. So let's talk about what's happening right now and what you can do to save your green card. So typically what the law says is that as a green card holder, you should not be spending more than 180 days outside of the United States. And further, your green card, also known as I-551, is valid for travel for absences less than 1 year. So if you start spending a year and a half, 2 years, sometimes I have people who call me after 3 years abroad, you're risking abandonment. And we'll talk about that in more detail in a few minutes, so make sure you stick to the end. We've been receiving reports that certain airline carriers have been refusing to allow green card holders that spend more than a year abroad board their flights on their way to the United States. Even if their green cards were still valid with maybe 2 or 3 years left on the green card, the fact that they were absent from the United States for more than a year, either based on admission that they interviewed them, or somehow they found out, they refuse to board these passengers on their flights. Moreover, certain airlines also refuse to let green card holders board their flights when their green cards actually expired, or they lost their green cards, or those cards were stolen. Typically, if your green card is lost or stolen, you have to at least file Form I-90. The receipt under new regulations is now proof for your green card extension. If you have a conditional green card, the 18 months extension that typically you get after you file for the extension is also good enough for you to travel. But it still does not give you the right to stay abroad more than 1 year. So what do you do when the airlines refuse to let you board the plane? What's some of the things you can actually do right now? The first thing you can do is you can request the airlines to contact the CBP. They have a regional liaison group, and the airlines can call that group and get further guidance. You as a passenger can require that to happen. Before you walk away and leave the airport, you can require the airline to say, please call the CBP liaison group and try to get that resolved. Remember, it's not enough just to ask them to call the CBP regional liaison group. You also have to have some documents to show them that you maintain your residence in the US. For example, medical receipts showing you why you couldn't travel from overseas back home to the United States. Proof that you still have real estate or a business over there, or you pay your taxes, or that you had canceled reservations, that you tried to make certain reservations for flights during the course of that year or more, and you constantly had to cancel it because either you couldn't travel or it wasn't feasible for you to travel because the airline canceled it. Make sure you have that proof, remember, because you cannot just ask them to call and say, please do an exception. You have the burden of proof to prove to them that you intended to go back to the United States, but it was just not feasible for you to do so. Bottom line, any documents that you have to show that you had an intention to go back to the United States during that year, you must prepare and keep them with you, because when you go and try to board that plane, the risk of them denying boarding is absolutely there. And so you need to be prepared to be able to show the airline that you have all this evidence and it wasn't your fault as to why you couldn't go back to the United States. The second thing you can do is, if the airlines refuse to let you board, you have to get to a CBP pre-clearance stations. Many airports have that. And what happens at a pre-clearance station is that you can apply for a waiver. You apply for this waiver on Form I-93, and this Form I-93 basically serves as a waiver of a visa or an entry document. In this case, if you're a green card holder, if they determine that you spend more than a year overseas and your green card has been abandoned, you can apply for this waiver at a pre-clearance station even before you arrive to the United States. And then when you actually land in the United States, CBP officers will process your application. And here's what's going to happen. The CBP officers may be able to use this form to waive the issues of you being absent for more than a year, because they will accept your arguments. The second thing that can happen is that the CBP officer can refer you to deferred inspection at a port of entry. And at that point, you'll be able to file Form I-90, and that should be sufficient for you to enter the United States if the officer determines that your absence from the United States wasn't because of your fault. And finally, in cases that are severe and extreme, if they feel that it was a long abandonment, they actually feel that you left the United States for many years, or that they don't accept any of your arguments, CBP officers can issue a notice to appear, which means that you have to, upon entry to the United States, you have to appear before a judge and to convince the judge why they should keep your green card and that you have not really abandoned your residency. Again, these are different extreme situations, but we've seen quite a few cases where LPRs have been away for a long time. When they arrived in the United States, CBP officers determined that they abandoned their green cards and they issued notice to appear to court, and then they were paroled into the United States waiting for their hearing. At the hearing, they had to prove why they left the United States for such a long time. But what are some of the options that you have if you know that you've been away for so long and you don't want to deal with CBP like that and you don't want to risk losing your green card? What else can you do? Well, you can apply for a returning resident visa, also known as SB1. You apply for it at the US Embassy in the country where you live. Typically, we use Form DS-117 to apply for a returning resident visa, also known as SB1. What are some of the things that US consular officers are looking for when you apply for an SB1? Well, first of all, they want to see that you try to go back to the United States, you just couldn't. So maybe some canceled flights and any trip plans that you made but had to cancel due to no fault of your own. They want to see that you continue to pay US taxes, maybe you have property or business in the United States, any bank accounts that are still active, any activity that you can show that you still have a life in the United States and it wasn't your fault as to why you're not able to come back. It's a very powerful application because it can save the future of your green card. Some of the things that they don't like to see in those applications is extended absences from the United States over years, always flying with a one-way ticket when you fly back home, not paying US taxes, having businesses overseas rather in the US. Things like that can show the US consular officer that your intention was never to go back to the United States, so be careful from that. The bottom line is that whenever I consult with a green card holder that is stuck overseas, and trust me, I'm getting a lot of requests, a lot of inquiries. In fact, a lot of our comments and YouTube videos are from green card holders who are stuck overseas. One of the things we look at is, let's look at the full picture. Let's look at the whole situation. How often are you traveling overseas? How long have you been absent from the United States? Do you have ties back to the United States? Are you paying taxes? Do you have bank accounts over there? Do you have any property over there? Can you prove that this was just an isolated incident and you really couldn't go back to the United States? Those are the factors that we have to look at, as well as country conditions. There are quite a few countries that flights are virtually impossible right now, or very difficult. Some countries are still locked down. Those are also good factors that we can use. We try to convince a consular officer that our client did not abandon their residency in the United States and they deserve either the SB1 visa, or similar arguments could be put forward when you apply for re-entry at a port of entry when you're trying to convince a CBP officer. Remember, there's no magic formula here. They're looking at the totality of the circumstances. If you can prove to the US immigration, if you can prove to the consular officer that your intention was not to abandon your green card, your chances to keep your green card are going to be pretty good. Hopefully this video was helpful. I'm really getting a lot of inquiries about that. Make sure you drop your questions in the comments below. And also, if you need my assistance, you can text me right here on this phone number, 619-483 888-888-4549 and we can set up a consultation to help you with your case. Once again, if you're here for the first time, do not forget to subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos, and also give us a big like so YouTube will be able to recommend this video to more people just like you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in our next video.